I think the 30th and having Chelsea right at the centre of it is key because it is such a public event.
A number of us have had experience of RHS Gardens and particularly Chelsea and know how powerful they are as a way of communicating a charity message.
It's an opportunity to not only be in front of so many people that go, but also with regards to the media coverage and making sure we keep meningitis on the agenda and really demonstrating the difference that Meningitis Now makes as a charity.
This is all about knowing that this disease is front of mind for professionals and everybody living in the UK.
We might be small, but we help thousands of people, and it's not just for a short period of time, it's for life, and that's the commitment we make to people. And I think the young people involved in the garden really show that in terms of the impact meningitis can have, but just what people are going to achieve after meningitis.
I met Amanda at Chelsea and I'd almost already had an idea, or the formation of an idea before I met her, and it just so happened that that idea perfectly knitted together with the message that Meningitis Now are trying to put over, which was unforeseen impact of the disease. You don't see it coming. These sculptures that were just people before, and now each sculpture has its own name. I've adapted the style of the sculpture to suit the person, and Jacob and Louise and Lauren each have added their own uniqueness to each sculpture.
The youngsters that are taking part are bringing the garden to life and represent exactly what the charity is about. That inspiration of not letting things stop you, of being able to move forward, of driving, of wanting to do things for others and make a difference.
I'm going to have a wooden statue made of me and a life-size real interpretation of me with an artist's twist being made out of wood. So being able to look at the different figures through the garden and understand what the garden's about and what it represents as a charity or as an individual, and it reflect it back onto your own life or your own circumstances, it shows you that everything's gone wrong and you're literally led there dying to, you know, you're up, you're walking, you're getting about, you're getting on with life. It might not be the same, it might not be perfect, it might not be beautiful, but it's still life.
I hope people understand how significant this garden is. And I think meningitis is unique to each and every person, so you know, I used to live life thinking this wouldn't happen to me, and you're right, it hasn't happened to me, it's happened to my son, and now this is something I've got to live with for the rest of my life. The statue, again, that's going to be a reminder, but it's going to be a happy reminder from meningitis and the way that they've helped us as a family.
We're right on the edge of new technology, so you'll definitely be able to recognise each person.
So the scanning we've used today is the Artec Eva scanner, and that has been able to capture a 3D shape by taking 3D pictures. So those pictures are then correlated together and aligned to provide an image that we can see on screen. This data is then rendered as a point cloud, so we'll be manipulating the data to a level where Johnny's happy with it, so it can be CNC machined.
It's been amazing when you look at it like 3D and sort of like 4D as well. Sort of like magic when he goes round.
It wasn't like I thought it was going to be. Like I thought we were going to be sitting inside a massive printer, just a scan line come down instead of a handheld thing. I thought it was amazing, like didn't think it could happen, but it has.
Once we've got the finished images, it becomes a solid object, so we then have to produce a block of wood, which will be the same size of each sculpture. And then this goes off to a CNC company and the image of each person will be cut out. And it's cedar planking, so we will laminate each layer together. So you'll get these beautiful tones that you get with cedar, from the dark browns up to the sort of golden oranges.
Chillstone's been going for 65 years. Our products are all handmade, and the stone that we produce is a reconstituted stone. John rang me up and said that he'd been approached by Meningitis Now to commission a garden for Chelsea 2016, and he ran through the whole story and concept, which just blew me away, and said to him, even if there's not an ounce of stone, you know, I'd like to be involved with the project in some way. And he said, we're going to create this Greek folly, and he explained to me the difference between the bacterial and viral meningitis, and how he was going to tell the story of these 5 children's lives. I think this is the first time that we've been so inspired from such an early stage, having learnt about meningitis, the 30th anniversary, everything that the charity stands for. We're absolutely delighted to be involved and donate our services and the products towards the charity, and to help in our very small way to raise the awareness, which is so important.
Today has been a fantastic day for really tying up so many loose ends. I've come down for a couple of days down south from my northern stronghold. We've done a mock-up of the temple on the metal frame that I've constructed. It's all been done through structural engineers, and at Chillstone that all went fantastically well. So it's about making sure the more prep you do now, the easier it will be when we build it. We only have 8 days, and I would rather encounter a problem on a cold day in March than a stressful day in May, actually, on the show site. And here we are this afternoon. I'm in Simon's fantastic nursery at How Green, looking at the plants, and to see them there, you know, they've got a long way to go, but everything's all ready.
So yeah, we've started growing these back in January. A week, 10 days ago, a lot of these plants were dormant, not much leaf showing at all. But of course, the one that we're really excited about is the Cirsium Frosted Magic. That's actually being launched at Chelsea. It's a copyrighted PBR plant, which means that I have to buy in the rooted cuttings, and the growers actually emailed me to say I'm not actually allowed to sell that until after Chelsea. With it being, you know, a new colour, white, it's a plant that's going to see many benefits, not only through the garden centre sales, but also the designer, because the designer is very wary of new plants.
So the backdrop of the garden is a yew hedge, and also we're going to introduce some shades of orange on the left. So we have Welsh poppy, the orange Welsh poppy, and Geum totally tangerine, which will just give that little vibrant pizzazz of orange, which is the colour of Meningitis Now. One of the aims of the garden is for people to become emotionally tied to it, and I want people to walk around and go, I really like the look of this garden first glimpse. It's got some really interesting plants in and structures, and then they start to think about why we're doing this, why are these sculptured here, what's the message in the back, and then they'll actually realise that it's actually, a lot of these tales are quite moving, but also quite positive. So it's about hope, it's about the future.
This is the first project I've done for a garden. I got the scans off John, and I thought I got a really good feeling about the purpose of the project and what everything stood for, the problems that these children have had, and the emotion behind it. Then I started to produce Liam, 0.3 scale from these original size. I started to hand finish him, and I stood back and I felt really emotional about what I was doing, which I very rarely get in my job. So to do something like this and meet Liam as a figure really touched me.
The whole point of these sculptures are that people can look at it and actually almost be stopped in their tracks. But what's been fascinating about this process is that when you come to actually work with the people that you want to scan, that their own stories start to reflect in the sculpture. I've never met Liam before. He was in that kind of mood where he was introspective, I suppose, and we wanted to kind of hold him in a position where he could be still. So I worked with his mum Becky, and we ended up with this very moving posture, completely different to what I had in mind. We realised that we're going to have to adapt, and Liam's sculpture has this amazing feeling of deep thought, impending future.
Louise has come to visit us, and she is the next statue in progress. And I've spent weeks looking at this 3D scan of Louise and working out how I'm going to make her and what the problems are with the manufacturing. And to see her in the flesh, it's really sort of given me a lot of pride and enjoyment about what I'm doing for this project. I mean, I've never seen a design like it. I'm certainly more aware of meningitis as a disease than what I've ever been. I'm sure many other people will feel the same way.
This bit is the most important bit to me. It's symbolic of the effect that meningitis can have, but also about the reaching out. There's a great life to be had.
Yeah.
Come on guys, you can follow me.
It's really cool that someone can just create it, capture it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've had meningitis, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You can still go out and live.
Over the last 20 years, we've seen the progression of the PC, the computer chip, CAD/CAM software, and as a result now we can scan a shape, which is basically millions and millions of points in space. My programming software picks up all the data, all these 3D points, and fits a mesh around the shape. The cutter on the machine will follow the mesh to produce the smooth shape of all the the folds in the clothes and the facial features. I have to slice somebody like Liam into sections because of the wood that I'm using, very similar to a sliced loaf of bread, whereby you have lots of layers, and from the side view you've got all the layers which are cut to different shapes, and then they are assembled and clamped together and glued and hand finished.
John contacted me after I did a garden with him last year at Chelsea. He came up with this story for me and asked me was there anything that I could add to it. And with it being a sort of a Roman structure, that it would be nice to take it back to then, and found out that this guy Asclepius was the Roman god of healing, and thought it'd be nice to bring it from then up to the present day. I sort of pared it down to sort of three positions really. We've got obviously Asclepius as sort of a Victorian butcher, and then a modern day surgeon, to make you realise the difference in the approach to medicine over the years. You know, it's pretty much superstition with snakes and things, and as we've run through to the present day. It's probably taken a couple of months. Obviously the thing, you know, takes a fair bit to design it and draw it up and then get it onto the block of stone. It's quite scary for me, this. I usually work in 3D. This pretty well is 2D. You know, it's a picture, but it's a picture that's got to be told in stone with only the light that plays on the stone to tell you what's going on. It's quite a worry that it isn't actually the shape of the thing that makes it what it is. It's almost like a painting really. If it's a dull day and I put a harsh downlight on it, you can see it a lot better with the way it's picked out, and I think that there's going to be a downlight in the building to pick it up while it's at Chelsea. The aim, right back I suppose from this guy, right the way through to this woman, there must have always been that amazing pressure to help people who are in trouble. So we go to here and beyond really. I suppose that's the thing, it's this sort of timeline, and you know, this is where we are now.
A lot of this material is reclaimed. When you move stone, they call it bruising, which is where you get chips where the newness of the stone comes through. So what we've had to do is weather the product. I mean, it's literally called liquid weather. It comes in a spray bottle, but it just darkens the stone and gives it a feeling of age. And we've done that on the temple and all the walls. Obviously the temple is a cast stone product, but we've tried to make it look about 100 years old. Well, I've spent near enough a year working on this project, and you get to the point when we actually get to the bit, you're just desperate to build it. It's a real roller coaster the whole week. You have ups and downs, doesn't matter how all the planning in the world, you'll come across problems on the site, the weather. The programme starts for the judging on Sunday, where we get assessed. So we get 2 minutes to talk to the judges about anything that you didn't put in the initial client's brief, which tells the story of the garden and gives them something to judge against. And there may be plants that you suggested you were putting in the garden that won't work now. So you have an opportunity to talk about the changes that you've made, and also little bits of the story that you can add that you didn't have time to put in your client's brief. It's nice to finish on the Saturday and do all the tweaking on Sunday, and then the judges have something to look at. What's really nice is to see people come in with fresh eyes. Lots of people haven't even seen the sculptures, we've kept them under wraps. It's nice when people walk up and see it for the first time and you can gauge your reaction, because that's how the public are going to view it.
Well, on Radio 4, I heard Meningitis Now were going to have a garden at Chelsea. I felt motivated to write and say, could I help in any way? Because I know the showground, I'm in the Chelsea Gardeners Guild, and I felt I could offer something. I think the planting is fabulous. The colour theme that represents the meningitis thing is just perfect. The story of the sculpture is very moving. It's a very clever story and well presented. Many of those thousands of people will have been touched by meningitis in many ways, maybe lost children or children who have recovered and become ill again. And I believe the people who are actually in these sculptures will be here, apart from one little boy, which will move people to take away and maybe look into it a little bit more.
The garden portrays a strong message to people looking at it. It is a very emotional tale. It's about real people contracting the disease, and hitting the brick wall comes very quickly. The onset of the disease takes hold, and before you know it, your child or loved one could be in a critical position. I think if people take that message away, it's better to seek help, and the first question is it meningitis? Let it be the first question, not the last question. Not everybody comes through it, and by such a beautiful garden with the orange interspersed for Meningitis Now, I think the message is very, very strong.
It's amazing seeing someone has already came up to me and was just like, I seen a statue of you. I'm going, okay, that's creepy, but it is definitely an artistic twist.
It's absolutely amazing. The figurines, they look just like us, completely head to toe. Liam looks great. Lauren coming through the wall and Louise leaning over the other one, that looks amazing. You know, me stood on the other side to represent coming out of it. That looks, you know, it's powerful.
It's out of this world. I'm bowled over by it. It's far better than I expected it to be. So emotional, as well as just captures the whole essence of the Meningitis Now charity.
Brilliant idea. Sums up such a lot in such a simple way. It looks great. It's amazing to see how it's transformed from being led on a cold warehouse floor. It looks almost real.
Well, it's breathtaking, isn't it? So it's Mother Nature at its finest. It's a bittersweet, isn't it? It's so beautiful to see him. I want to pick him up out the garden and hug him, but at the same time I'm fully aware why he's in this garden.
He looks quite sad looking at the statue, but I know he'd be proud of it.
Such a strong story, and the personalities and the humour that's come through with them has been amazing. The garden is the journey through meningitis depicted with sculpture, showing a tragic outcome, ultimately ending with a life changed but a life full of hope and positivity.
We wanted to do something that would be a centrepiece and would really raise the bar and bring the attention of people not normally paying attention to meningitis. We wanted to reach a new audience with the same message. We are absolutely delighted with what our designer John Everest has done. People are interested in the sculptures, they're asking questions, and I have to say the reaction of the public going by is a much greater reward than any medal, although we did get a silver gilt medal, which is wonderful. But people are fascinated, people are interested, because the garden is all about people and their stories and the inspirational young ambassadors we have.
We're expecting about 180,000 people to come past the garden this week. And already, just in 24 hours, We have been inundated with people wanting brochures and leaflets and symptoms cards, asking about the disease, asking more importantly about the story of the children who are the focal point of the garden. And through all of these ways we are able to raise the awareness about meningitis, what to look out for, and also the help that we can give.